Hello, welcome to this week's Chatty Corner. This week I will be talking about the Advent calendar that has gone up this week. I will be talking about stuff that I've been playing, as always. I'll be talking about a game that I'm interested in, that it's been getting some good reviews. And I'll be talking about people being the worst, of course. So, first of all, let's start by talking about the Advent calendar. Surprise! Yep. I have been planning the Advent calendar since before I did the Resident Evil thing for Halloween. In fact, they kind of ended up getting planned around the same sort of time, which was like late September. And yeah, I thought, well, if I'm doing Halloween, why don't I do the Advent calendar again? I was like, oh, that's a good idea. Okay, I'm going to do the Advent calendar again. So in previous Chatty Corners where I've said I might have something in between now and the next Let's Play, I might have something else to surprise you, and that was what I was referring to. I was referring to the Advent calendar, which is back this year. And yeah, and it has also allowed me to test out the schedule function. That's fun, and that's why it's been going up consistently at 12 every single day, and will continue to do so up till Christmas Eve. So, there you go. You're getting a nice little countdown to Christmas with random games from me. And I'm also very impressed with myself for finding out that my videos are defaulting to 60 frames a second. Because what was happening, I loaded the footage in. It was saying, oh, do you want to change the sequence settings to that of the video? And I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And the next thing I know, it's in 60 FPS. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll keep it then. Yeah. 720 still, but it's 60 FPS, so why the hell not? So there you go, you've got 60 FPS videos. It's not really going to work out too well when we get to some of the games in this year's Advent calendar are on the PS2, and it won't look so good then. But and this is what I'm saying. So, yeah. The PS3 games look pretty good though, as we've seen for the first 3 days. Yeah. Yeah, so people seem to be very pleased with its return, and I hope that you guys are looking forward to watching that for the rest of the month, up to Christmas. I'm not sure what I'm going to do off the back of the Advent calendar. Obviously, in the past I've held a vote on which one people think is the best, but I don't know what I'd do with that vote this year, so I'm like, because I don't want to do a full Let's Play of anything. You know, if I do, I'd rather do it separately. But I also just don't want to do a stream because I haven't got a setup for streaming, and I want to take some time to sit back and kind of figure that out before I do anything like that. So I'm in this difficult place where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want to do off the back of the Advent calendar. Maybe there'd still be votes and I don't know. But I'll think of it. If you've got any suggestions, let me know, and I'll consider them. There you go. Tomb Raider 3. We're almost done. So, here's something that I need to address as well. Last week, while I managed to get a lot of the Advent calendar stuff up, I was determined to get those recorded. I was sick for a good portion of last week and couldn't record anything. So that's a problem. But I did get the Advent calendar stuff done, but that was at the expense of getting Tomb Raider 3 recorded. So as a result, next week's level, I've recorded it now, but obviously I need to edit it all together. If I can get those done in the next few days, it will carry on as normal. You'll continue to get your weekly updates. If I don't get it done by the end of next week, then what'll happen, I will skip next week. You'll still get the Advent stuff as normal, because I've got a system going for that, and it's fine. But the problem is, you'll get that week without Tomb Raider. The week after, I will upload The Lost City of Tinos. The week after that, which will be Christmas week, I believe, I will still finish the Let's Play on that same week. This means I haven't had a chance to plan out the next Let's Play properly. But if I can get everything recorded this week, which is my intention, I've recorded Tinos, Meteorite Cavern isn't too long, it's like a boss fight and then a short section after that, so that'll be fine. I can do that tomorrow, or today when this goes up. And then I can do, on the weekend, I can do All Hallows, assuming it's unlocked. If it hasn't unlocked, I'll use a cheat to do it, but either way, I will do All Hallows at the end of the week. So then next week I can start planning out the next Let's Play, and maybe once I've planned out the first bit, I'll record it, get that put up for patrons, because obviously I screwed up the Halloween reveal for you guys. I'm sorry about that. So hopefully I can get that up. I'm not sure when the new Let's Play will go up as a result. There might be a little bit of a break where I don't post anything. There definitely won't be anything in the week after Christmas. I can tell you that right now. The week after I can't promise anything either. I want to try and make sure I get a little bit of a backlog going with my new Let's Play, but we'll see what happens with that. I can't make any promises on it right now, but I will endeavour to get as much done as possible for the next Let's Play. So that's the thing that is going to happen. That's what's happening with Let's Plays and all the rest of it. So be aware that there may not be a Tomb Raider part next week, but I'm going to try to get something up. If I can do it, then that's great. But if I can't, then it will skip next week and go on to the next week, and then you'll get a double bill the week after. So there you go. Because I can guarantee that I can get to that point. Should be fine unless something disastrous happens in the next couple of days. That means I can't do it. But there you go. So what have I got next to talk about? Currently playing... I'm still playing Alundra, but I'm almost at the end. In fact, by the time this goes up, I should have finished it. Technically. I'm predicting that I should have finished it, but we'll see if that's true. I have been enjoying playing Alundra again. It is one of my favourite games of all time. I think I mentioned it's one of my favourite PS1 games. And yeah, it's been good going back to a game like that and just enjoying the hell out of it. And yeah, almost finished it, almost completed 100% for the first time ever, which is nice. And the roulette game, which is it's a side option. You've got you've got this pub in the game, and you can go there and you can play a series of mini games. And you've got life vessels and you've got gilded falcons. Those are your two big collectibles throughout the whole game. So life vessels are basically your heart pieces from Zelda. So, except instead of heart pieces, which obviously you collect 4, you gain a new heart on your health. With life vessels, your health goes up automatically. There are 40 of those, so you get a maximum health of 50 HP because you gain 1 HP each one you find. And you start with 10. Gilded Falcons, they're used to gain special rewards. So you get Gilded Falcons by going to this other place, and you go to this place and the guy there will exchange Gilded Falcons for special rewards. So you'll get a couple of the life vessels are obtained there. I think it's 3 of them are from there. You can also get better armor and better sort of equipment that allows you to attack better and that kind of thing. You also get the most powerful weapon in the game from him as well. If you give him all of the Gilded Falcons, you get the most powerful weapon of the game. So now I've done that. If you go to this pub, you can play these 3 mini games. Each mini game you have to play it 5 times. If you play it, if you win 5 consecutive games. So you've got a set of games that you play. So you go in there, you play the game, you win the game, and you win money. But then you can say, well, put that money down towards the next round. And then you get double the money as you go through. So it's sort of a gambling thing. And then what you do is you win 5 consecutive rounds, and that's you've won the game, essentially. If you do that 4 times, so 4 non-consecutive completions of the 5 consecutive wins. If you do that, you get another reward. So you get a reward for beating it once and a reward for beating it 4 times. So you get a life vessel for beating it once, and you get a Gilded Falcon for beating it 4 times. First 2 games are fine. One is basically destroy as many enemies within the time limit as you can, reach a certain target, you win. That's fine. Second one, same kind of thing, except this time you're using your bow instead of your sword. So that's fine. Third one is roulette. So the first 2 I cleared pretty quickly. Got the stuff from the rewards from there, fine. And obviously my big thing is to get all the Gilded Falcons, all the life vessels, so I complete the game 100%. Problem is, you have roulette, which is roulette. And the problem with roulette is that in real life, roulette is fairly random. It's also random in the game. So this is entirely built on a random number generator. So basically you go in there, you pay your money to go play the game. And you sit there and you decide which of the 3 colours the light is going to land on. There is a technique to it. Like, someone sat down and worked out what the chances are, and I read about it. And yeah, that makes it easier to make your choice, but it's also not guaranteed. So you basically make your choice. You press the button and you go, is this okay? This is definitely your choice, right? You confirm it, and then the thing spins, and then it lands on a random thing. If it's the same one you picked, you win. You move on. You do the second round, and so on, until you win the 5 consecutive rounds to get your life vessel, and then do that 3 more times to get your gilded falcon. It's a pain in the arse to do all that because it's random. So the amount of times where I would go in and just pick the wrong thing, and there's no way of knowing. Like, again, there's a technique to it where you can kind of improve your chances on picking the right thing, but it's never guaranteed. So that's fun. I managed to get it. It took, basically what I was doing is I kept going back to the pub in between dungeons and doing it. And I would be like, okay, I'm going to do it 10 times. I'm going to do it 10 times, see how far I get. So I did it 10 times. On one occasion, I did it 6 times and won. I was like, good. Okay. So I reset my counter and carried on. Because I was like, I'm in a good mood, I can do it, And I think I managed it 2 or 3 times, and then I got a 3rd win. I was like, yeah, this is good. Okay, this bodes well. And I did 10 times and I didn't get it, so fine. Right before the final dungeon, I did it again. And I got it. Finally. And I was like, thank Christ. So I have that Gilded Falcon, so I'm going to be able to get the best weapon in the game, which is like a magic wand that kills everything in one hit, apparently. I've also just started up Resident Evil 2. I started up literally the night before I record this, and I tweeted about it a little bit in amongst some political stuff, but I'm not going to talk about it. And yeah, I started playing it on the PS3, and it broke. So I'm playing it on the PS2. What was happening was I decided I'm going to play as Claire. So I loaded up the Claire disc, started playing through, blah 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 blah, everything's fine. Get to the police station, go into the room with the guy, the officer who's just lying in a pool of his own blood. Go speak to him, and then suddenly, I get a conversation with the Birkins. Suddenly start talking. I'm like, okay. Bearing in mind, at this point, the police officer and Claire are just completely still. They're just sitting there staring at each other. And the dialogue is all from later cutscenes. So I'm getting, like I said, the Birkins were chatting to each other. At one point, I think I heard Ada. I don't know. And Sherry turns up at some point. And at one point, you get Claire telling Sherry where to go. And I'm like, this isn't what's supposed to be happening. And then the game just flat out crashed. So that was fun. So I tried Leon, and I think had similar issues. So I was like, I'm going to try and play it on the PS2. So I got past that point now. So, yeah, that's interesting. Looking forward to Resident Evil 2 just because I enjoyed playing Resident Evil 1. As you saw me playing Resident Evil because I recorded it. I hope people enjoyed that, by the way. Didn't really get a lot of feedback on whether or not people liked that. So let me know if you did or didn't, so that, you can do maybe more random things like that. Resident Evil 2 is going to be a lot of fun to play through, I reckon. Let's hope I can beat it this time. I have this thing with Resident Evil games where I really like them, but I also haven't finished any of them. There's always some point that defeats me. I think it was the William Birkin fight with Resident Evil 2. With Resident Evil 1, it was the Yawn boss, and you saw my reaction to finally beating Yawn, the second one. Resident Evil 3, I don't think I even played much of, in general. Code Veronica, it was something with Chris, I think. Can't remember specifically, but there was something with Chris that I could not do it. So let's hope I beat Resident Evil 2. What's been going on in gaming recently? Well, let's talk about the bad stuff first, shall we, so that we can end on a positive note. So, gamers are the worst, as always. I say this as a gamer. The people doing this make the rest of us look bad, and we should all be pointing and laughing and being like, and saying you're bringing shame on the family. So Dead or Alive, the volleyball thing, due to poor sales of those games traditionally, like in general, not just even in the West, but just in general, Tecmo Koei have decided to not bother releasing the new Dead or Alive volleyball game in the West. So it remains cost effective because you're sticking to one territory and you're not going anywhere else with it, and you're not having to pay for localization costs, and you're not having to pay for distribution costs and all that kind of stuff, so the low sales can be justified. Then of course some idiot had to go running his mouth, didn't he? And saying, well, problem is, in the West, you got a lot of people who are always talking about like sexism in games and stuff, and they go nuts and they do like this. There's just going to be this big backlash against the games. It's not really worth it, quite frankly. And this was on it was on like a Facebook page, I think. It wasn't like an official statement to the press or anything. And of course, certain types of gamers decided that, oh no, SJWs, they're coming in and they're taking our games from us, and somehow Anita Sarkeesian was responsible, even though not one person was calling for the censorship of Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball, because literally nobody cares about Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball. And then of course Player Asia decided to come in and just start being like, yeah, you stick it to those SJWs, come buy the imported game from here, and it's such a blatant marketing strategy, let's generate some false controversy and try and bump up the sales of the import version. There is no controversy, everyone is being manipulated. And this is the most that anybody has cared about Dead or Alive Volleyball as a result. So it's working quite well. Because let's be honest, who plays Dead or Alive Volleyball? Who really is going to admit to playing that game? That is basically Anime Tits, the video game. I even said, are the Dead or Alive games any good? Like the actual legitimate Dead or Alive fighting games? Apparently they're alright, they're not too bad. But we all know, of course, that Dead or Alive Volleyball is a really loving simulation of the sport, and is of course the best representation of the sport in virtual form. And that's why people play it. They play it because they really want a good volleyball game, and it's not because of the tits. Of course it isn't because of the tits. Who would do that? That's crazy. Who would sit in their room and get their rocks off over like a video game with crazy jiggle physics that looks ridiculous? Because the people who made it clearly have never seen boobs in their life. If they did, they wouldn't move in the way they do. But hey. Just people. And this is something I saw, someone tried to argue that the sales thing was bad, was not a good argument. You can't say, well, it didn't sell well because, what about that Undertale game that you all love? That game has sold only slightly more. Yeah, and you're calling it a great success, so that's just hypocritical because you're saying that that's a great success, and Dead or Alive has sold only slightly less, and that's apparently a failure. Well, here's the thing, Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball 2, which was the one that they were using the examples of, had sold less than Undertale in 10 years. Undertale has been out for 2 months and has sold more. Also, Undertale had significantly less overheads, probably paid significantly less in distribution costs as well, because it's pretty much exclusively on Steam. And yeah, it kind of, because it's got lower overheads, if it makes less sales, it makes more money, because it doesn't need to sell more to justify its costs. If it sells more, then it makes even more money, certainly, but it can get by on less. Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball 2 probably cost quite a bit of money to make, and didn't sell very well at all. Speaking of Undertale and people getting pissy over Undertale for no good reason, GameFAQs, they're holding their best game ever thing, and it's basically just one of their silly, playful polls things that they do. They do the best character thing, which has always been won by Link until people got bored of that and voted for the L block from Tetris as a joke, because people didn't want Link to win again. then some people put a League of Legends character in and push that up over and over again, and yeah. But anyway, this year, because people really like Undertale ended up sneaking into the rankings, which is pretty cool. That game looks pretty good, by the way. I've not really expressed my opinion on Undertale, but that's because I haven't played it yet. I've seen little bits of it, and it definitely looks like it would be right up my alley. I enjoyed Earthbound, and it looks very similar to Earthbound, so for that reason, I think, yes, I will get round to playing this at some point. And it's great that it's doing so well, because it was made by like one guy. And yeah, it keeps winning somehow. Like, people keep rallying behind it. You've got people. First of all, it won against Mass Effect 2, I want to say. It won against one of the Mass Effects. Then it beat Fallout 3. And this is where people start getting really pissy, because they're like, oh no, Fallout 3 is objectively the best game ever, which is not actually remotely true, because it's impossible to have an objective best game ever. Of course, the most recent thing is, it beat Super Mario World. And yeah, traditionally in those sorts of things, Nintendo does very, very well, so of course it beats Super Mario World. But then, like, there's accusations of vote rigging, there's accusations of, like, the rally being illegal against the rules, but it isn't, and the admin himself even pointed that out, that it wasn't against the rules. It's even in the rules that rallies are allowed. If you really want to promote a game, go nuts. It's a popularity contest, that's all it is. It's not for any serious thing, so chill out. It's just a kind of fun thing for people to kind of go, oh, which is better? And yeah. And otherwise, it's like the most boring bracket in the world. Like, oh, whoa, oh, who are we getting in one of the quarterfinals? Oh, we're going to get Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 7. It's kind of boring when it's just Final Fantasy and Zelda all the way down. So having Undertale in there is like a surprise underdog. That's quite nice, having that. It's a nice surprise. I was genuinely surprised by the Super Mario World thing. I pop in occasionally and submit my vote, and I did vote for Super Mario World, because the rule is, if I played the game, if I played one of the games but not the other one, then I vote for the one that I actually played, and I played Super Mario World, and I like Super Mario World. It's probably my favourite Mario. So there you go. But it's still interesting to see Undertale win. So there you go. I think the only thing I'm genuinely upset about is, I think Perfect Dark lost to something that's kind of boring. So I'm like, how dare you? But I think it got knocked out the next round. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a silly little contest. It's not something serious. But yeah, people are losing their minds. They're calling it a SJW game. I don't know where that's coming from. But hey, whatever. It's yeah. I don't get how people can live such sheltered, closed off lives, that anything that kind of vaguely steps out of the small worldview that they have just offends them to their core, and then they accuse everybody else of being massively offended, but they seem to be the most offended, and I'm like, okay. As I said, it's just fun to go, ha, you're silly. Oh well. And the sad thing is, they don't recognise how silly they are. Oh no, this game that I've never played is winning a thing that doesn't really have any major value of anything. Speaking of popularity contests that have no real value, Game Awards is on this week, but I won't. As I record this, it hasn't happened yet, so I can't comment on any of that. But my guess is you're going to have Jeff Keighley giving you a whole bunch of world premieres, and then, throwing a load of Doritos in your face. I imagine that's how it's going to go down. And also there will be one award in the entire ceremony, because that's how it works. That's why I laughed out loud when Jim Sterling in last week's Podquisition said something like, do you know what I've got that Jeff Keighley doesn't have? Awards. So, yeah. But anyway, let's end on a positive note, and let's talk about a game that I'm interested in and is getting some good reviews. That is Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is a game that it's like the only open world game that I actually care about this year, and all of the big games have been, well, big games. You've had things like the Batman game, I can't remember which one it is at this point. You had Witcher 3, you had Fallout 4, you've had Assassin's Creed Syndicate, you've had Metal Gear Solid 5, all of them being big open world games, and every single one of them I don't give a crap about. And Xenoblade comes out, and now I suddenly get it. So there you go. One thing I'm sad about with Xenoblade, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, I probably have. I'm disappointed with the voiceovers simply because I wanted all the cheesy English voice acting back. I played through, 100 hours of the original Xenoblade and got very used to hearing, I'm really feeling it, and it's Ryan time, and all of that stuff, and I was like, I want more of that. It's kind of part of the charm of the game. But no, it's American voice actors. Because Nintendo of America did the localization this time, because they actually decided to release it rather than skipping over America for 2 years, thinking, I won't come out, no one will want this. So they sent it to Nintendo of Europe to localize, and that's why everyone's hyper British. But it's not going to happen this time around, and that's sad. But I guess when I get it and I do play it, which will probably be Christmas at this point, so don't expect my view on it next week. But you can choose Shulk's voice. They brought him back just to do, because you can make an avatar this time instead of having a defined protagonist. And one of the voices you can give him is Adam Howden, who played Shulk, so I'm going to be Shulk. Just because I miss the English voices. I'll miss them if I don't have his voice in there. Unless I choose to play as a woman, in which case I'll use Fiora's voice, because they put her in as well. That's my way around it. That's how I get my proper representation. But anyway, apart from that, it genuinely looks like a fun game, and it's great to see it getting so many positive reviews. It's ridiculous how positive all the reviews have been. Something like yet another game on the Wii U that's like an essential by Eurogamer, and it's got 9 out of 10 from Jim Sterling. I think it got a few good reviews from a few other places, and it looks genuinely good. And I enjoyed the first one, so I'm hoping I enjoy the second one. I don't care, by the way, if you say, well, it's set in Neo Los Angeles, that's why there's no British voice acting. Well, I don't care, because the first game had British voice acting. It's not my canon if it's not the British voice acting. So yeah, that's the thing. While I've been talking about that and like doing my kind of sheepish thing about the voice actors, I've been slipping further and down into my chair. And on that awkward note, I think I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you next week. First of all, I say, before I go, I hope you enjoy the rest of RX Tech Minds, which goes up probably the same day this does. Hope you enjoy the rest of the Advent Calendar stuff as it's going up. And feel free to follow me on Twitter for updates and little comments and things like that. Feel free to follow me on my blog, where I post things. I've been doing a lot of chronological challenge reviews up there right now. A lot of them were meant to go up last week, and they didn't because I was sick. And I feel like what I'd do, then maybe chuck me some money over on Patreon, maybe, yeah. I know you wanna. Yeah. That's everything. Get out. No, I'm joking. I'll see you next week. Hope you have a good hope you have a good week, and I'll see you then. I'll see you, and we'll have some more of this next week. And yeah, bye.